And do you think there is a danger of bankruptcy in Egypt soon, Steve?
Well, yes.
Why?
They are on the Bloomberg list for potential default, by the way. I think they're ranked, they're number 5 on the Bloomberg list of possible defaults. So the answer to that is yes, I agree with Bloomberg.
But the government in Egypt keep denying this and saying, look, to 2022, we paid all our debts in this year, and we will keep paying by borrowing another external debts in 2023. But this is an economic circle, and this is our solution.
Well, the markets don't believe them because the debt's trading at a huge discount. And as I say, if you look at the Bloomberg list of the countries that are potentially in danger of defaulting, Egypt is on the list. I think it's ranked number 5.
Okay.
So basically, the government in Egypt doesn't really have any credibility. That's the bottom line is they can say whatever they want to, but no one really believes them. And why don't they believe them? Because they lie all the time. If they were telling the truth, people would believe them. If you were telling me every time I talked to you, Osama, something that was accurate, I would think, well, the next time Osama tells me something, it's going to be accurate. But if you told me something that was wrong every single time and turned out to be a lie, I would think, oh, he can't be trusted. I'm not going to believe what he tells me. And that's the problem with Egypt.
And do you think markets now don't trust the government?
No. All you have to do. This is not my subjective evaluation. This is an objective fact. If you look at the markets and the market price for Egyptian debt, that's subjectively what the market's telling you.
But you know, Steve, the government just introduced the IMF, the recent loan with the IMF, as the last chance, the last economic chance. And with this loan, we will obtain the trust of the market globally, and the external investors will come again to Egypt, and we will have the hot money again in Egypt, because there is 20 billion withdraw from the market in Egypt last year. What do you think?
Well, I don't. That's not a fact. That's not based on any facts. That's wishful thinking. Because if that was true, that's what the government's been saying. Various governments, not just this government. This is nothing new in Egypt. I said they've been on IMF life support since 1962. This has been going. This has been going on for over 60 years. In fact, precisely 60 years. If you subtract the numbers, you get 60.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. It's an old Egyptian way of doing business in the government. No matter what the government is, every single government has done the same thing.
Okay. On January 19th, you tweeted, and I quote, "Egypt plans to build a multi-billion-dollar new capital city 40 miles east of Cairo. Meanwhile, Egypt will be required to pay over 100 billion in domestic and foreign debt in the coming years. Amazing. Not a good time to be building a white elephant." But to be honest, Steve, this is a huge debate in Egypt, because the presidents keep praising himself as the man who launching a new republic in Egypt with 24 smart cities, like the new capital. And many reports and economists said no, with the 60% of Egyptian people at or under the poverty rate, this is not an economic priority. So what are your thoughts on building a new city, spending all these billions on 24 smart cities in Egypt?
Well, I think it's a terrible idea. One area in which I have a specialization is infrastructure economics. And I can tell you, all these mega projects turn out to be economic disasters. That's typically, not all, but typically, if you look, you're in London right now, and if you look at the channel going over to the continent, the annual rate of return on that white elephant, it's negative. It's a negative rate of return. In other words, they invested a lot of money to build the channel, and the return is negative. The costs are actually greater than the benefits. And that's typical of all these mega projects that you have. Or sometimes they call them vanity projects, where somebody like President Sisi, he wants a vanity project, a new city, you know, with his name plastered all over the thing.
But you know, so President Sisi,
they're a bad idea.
Yeah.
In Egypt, the benefits will be less than the cost, so it will be uneconomic, and on top of it, it will fuel a tremendous amount of corruption.
And regarding these benefits from the new capital of these mega project, infrastructure projects in Egypt, the government say this project will offer jobs for maybe 5 million in Egypt, attract investors, and offer a foreign currency in the central bank. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why?
I just look at the history of these projects. They don't. That's not how they work. That's how they're advertised. But the advertising is always false. The jobs don't come, and the jobs cost more than they're worth. In other words, the whole thing is kind of a sham, basically. It's a fake. That's the history of mega projects. If you look at the scholarly literature on mega projects, they're always the same. They cost way more than projected. The benefits are way less. And when do they arrive? They don't arrive on time. They arrive way after the deadline that's been set for the finalization of their construction.
So do you believe a $59 billion new capital city in Egypt is a fake?
Yes.
Wow.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I'm basing my judgment on ex post evaluations that have been done on actual real mega projects that have been built. And what those show is that they end up costing way more and producing way fewer benefits than advertised before they start the project. So they say a lot of things before the project starts. I mean, look at the channel going from the UK over to France. That was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Well, it's turned out it's a white elephant.
Yeah.
Benefits way less than the cost. Rate of return negative, about 15% a year. They're not getting a positive interest and payback of 15%. They're getting a negative drain of 15%.